do I give a fuck? Why do I give a fuck? Why do I try so hard? Why do I care so much?
Welcome to Why Do I Give a Fuck? A cross-cultural conversation between myself, Diane Tate,
and Johanna Thompson. In these times of great struggle and possible shift, we ask ourselves,
why do we give a fuck about any of it? How does the lens we see the world through impact what we see?
And what do we do about it?
Hello. How are you?
Both of us are asking, how are we doing?
I'm so excited about this new platform because we get to listen to the intro as we're coming. So it kind of gets me jazzed and gets me. I like it.
The vibe of things.
The way we were doing it before, I never got to hear the intro and the outro. So I'm excited about that. Little sidebar, a little behind the scenes. Hey, guess what? Today, this episode is episode 75.
We are committed. If nothing else, we are committed.
Wait.
This is it.
That's right. 75.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Can you believe it's been 75?
Commitment is real. I know that we are having an expansion of the people that are listening to what we have to say in this conversation that we have amongst ourselves that we're sharing with the world. So it's really special. We're in holiday season now officially. It's happening. And so
much to the chagrin.
We've talked about what happens during holiday and everything like that.
Yeah,
but seriously, I just want to have a conversation about ways that we also are taking care of ourselves and having fun.
Yeah, you mentioned a guilty pleasure, and I want to know what that is. Tell me.
My guilty pleasure is a little bit of also, playing in a kind of, how are we going to call it? Like pop culture things.
Okay. And
there is a network. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a network called the Zeus Network. It is a young Black man named, I don't even know his name, Lemon. But he has created this thing called the Zeus Network. And there's a whole bunch of raunchy TV on Zeus Network. Just as like raunchy TV. There's this one episode, or not episode, but one series that I absolutely adore. And that's Joseline's Cabaret. And this is a woman who has come from Puerto Rico. She is known as the Puerto Rican princess.
Okay.
And Joseline has just brought sexy into the world. She has just brought like sexy into the world. She is, I want to call her the kind of grassroots Beyonce, if we can say it that way, without so much social justice, but a whole lot, or maybe social justice, because she's a woman that has come from Puerto Rico who has worked in the entertainment industry for a significant amount of time, was introduced to the entertainment industry, having a very tumultuous relationship with one of the people that was managing her. And she's allowed her, through reality TV, her career to just kind of blossom. And it's one of those USian stories of working hard, grit hard, and then getting to a place in your life that you've imagined, that you've dreamed, and having that come true. And so the places that she always speaks about coming from is a place of the world of dancers.
Okay.
Strip club dancers. And so in her cabaret, what she's doing, having elevated herself in her career to a place where she can invite other women who are in the industry, in the dancing industry, to join her cabaret and to fight for places to be in her cabaret and to tour basically the world at this point with her in the cabaret. So it's Joseline's Cabaret. She's been able to tour the world. She's been able to expand her entire brand. And she's a absolutely amazingly gorgeous woman. That's the other part.
Wow.
So
is this how you spell her name, Joseline?
Oh, no.
No.
Joseline, Joseline, Cabaret. So Joseline Cabaret on Zeus Network. Yeah. And so my guilty pleasure one is watching it. And I came to watch it because my eldest young person said, Mom, you have to sit down and watch this. And I was like, I know Joseline from way back in the day, loving hip hop. And I was like, she's like, but you don't understand what Joseline has been doing with her life. One of the things that I just really appreciate is just like bigging up. Yeah, there it is. Joseline's Cabaret. They're just bigging up like that strong work ethic, and also bigging up being able to redefine and kind of transform people's belief and understanding about people's lives, right? Because there could be a narrative in the world about women who are dancing in the strip clubs and all of that kind of stuff, and not knowing the backstories or not being considered worthy of having a chance to try to expand and excel themselves. Last night was the episode of her finale for Joseline's Cabaret, California. So I got to go and sit with Joseline as we watched her final episode and hear her.
You're kidding? You were with her. Oh my gosh.
So much fun. So first of all, she comes in the space, the Puerto Rican princess. She has this beautiful holiday silver, sexy outfit on, laid out, Coke bottle shape, amazingly beautiful face. And sat there and engaged with us. And it really was a gift for me. It really was like a guilty pleasure. And I appreciate it because I always love the underdog story, and to see someone to be able, it's a gift to be able to see someone to exceed in the way that she has and really blow up her brand. She was Glamour Women of the Year. She's been asked to come all over the world to bring her cabaret, and she's doing it with women who might not have had another opportunity to have this platform. And so I was really happy. That was a gift for me. That was my take care of myself guilty pleasure. Holiday. How about you? Have you been able to do anything?
Well, not so much. You know, my sister mentioned in a previous episode, my sister is dealing with some pretty serious health issues. So the past few days, ever since Thursday, ever since Thanksgiving, have been a bit of a blur for me. Just, you know, I'm pretty far away from where she is. She's down in North Carolina and I'm up in Connecticut. So, you know, waiting for those updates, right? Waiting for those text messages. What was the latest? She and her husband have been really good about audio recording when the doctors come in to talk to her, because we got into this habit when mom was dealing with all of her health issues, because it was way too much for the person who was in the room to be responsible for remembering all of the details and then passing it along to all the siblings and the people
especially when you're having emotion, you know.
Right. You just can't remember all that. So I have no idea if the doctors would be okay with it. Nobody asks, you know. So we just turn on that voice record and audio, because we know we're only using it for ourselves. And then once the recording is done, you text it out to, you know, on the thread of all the people that are trying to keep informed. And it just makes it so much easier for folks to listen to the doctors with their own ears. And then, you know, follow-up questions can happen. But so my sister and brother-in-law have been really good about doing that. And I got like 5. Yesterday was a really hard day for them. It was a really, really hard day. It started at 4:30 in the morning with the results of a CT scan that told her about a really significant blood clot in a really significant vein. And that was scary. And so all day yesterday, we didn't have a whole lot of updates. And then I got all of these audio recordings right before I went to bed. So I was up very early this morning at 5 a.m., couldn't sleep, and got up and started listening to the recordings. But then, so that's been occupying my mind a lot. And so guilty pleasures for me are right now, Brian and I are consuming The Expanse, which is a series, 6 seasons of a series on, I believe it's on Netflix. I get them all confused. And then we're also watching The Sandman, which is on Netflix. Did you watch that?
No, when you said it, I was just like remembering stories.
Yeah, it's all about the Sandman is the king of the dream world. And so it's a series. It's only 2 seasons. So we just started the 2nd season. So it's going to be done before you know it, but it's really deep and kind of out there. He and I are really into sci-fi and kind of otherworldly shows. And so this is very much that, but it's not aliens and, you know, and spaceships and things like that you typically would find with the otherworldly. It's more dreamland, you know, and anything can happen in dreamland, right? And so it's super, super deep. I highly recommend. I've just been devouring it because my brain, I'm very left brain, so I like things that make me think. I don't typically gravitate towards slapstick or stupid or silly. I mean, every once in a while, but it's got to be smart. It just really, it bothers me when it's not. So we had that. And then today I had I went to go because, I'm getting married on New Year's Eve, and you're going to be there. I'm so excited. Get to hug your neck for the second time in the world. So I had to go to the showroom to, first of all, let me just qualify this. First world problems. I know that. But I had to go to the showroom to kind of pick out all the linens and stuff that are going to go on the tables. And I have been struggling with a florist that I engaged to be the florist for the event. And it got to the point where I sent, I've been trying to give her grace. We still haven't gotten it locked in. We still haven't, I haven't given her a deposit, which I could definitely hear the irritation in her white woman voice on the other side of the phone. But it hasn't been because I haven't wanted to pay her. It's because they don't communicate. There's only two of them. They're overworked. They take more jobs than they can handle. They don't, in my assessment, don't have a true understanding of what their capacity is. And we're going to talk about white saviorism, and that could definitely be
a part of it.
Piece of that, yeah. And so I called her this morning. Her voicemail was full. Couldn't take any more messages, which annoys the hell out of me for businesses. So I sent her an email, and I just said, I know you just got back after the holiday. I'm emailing you once again. I really want to hear from you today. And if we don't have anything solidified, I'm going to have to go find another florist. I can't wait any longer. So she emails me another estimate, and it's not right based on the last email I sent her 2 weeks ago that she didn't bother to read because the estimate doesn't reflect the information that I shared with her in the last email. So I called her. She actually picked up the phone, and we ended up, doing that white woman thing. She was gaslighting me all over the place, telling me that I came to her with this grandiose plan of what this wedding was going to be like. And I keep whittling it down to where, bottom line, in her roundabout way of saying it, it wasn't expensive enough. The budget wasn't high enough for her to take up a New Year's Eve on, or something of that effect. So essentially I wasn't going to be paying her enough money. And, the thing that she described, and, I'll allow for the fact that she probably heard what she wanted to hear. When I had my first meeting with her in September, there was never any mention of, oh my God, that's not enough time. We can't do that. Oh my God, that's really short notice, but we'll try to make it happen. Nothing like that. It was a lovely meeting. I don't know if she was blowing smoke up my ass or what, but, we talked about what I needed. And I told her from the rip that it was not a sit down dinner, that we were not going to have massive tables, because the room wasn't big enough. And I thought I was very clear about what I wanted, thought I was. And then we had some other mishaps. She wrote my email down wrong. So she sent me 2 estimates and never got to me. Then she wanted to blame it on me because I changed my email. It's like, no, I forwarded my old one to my new one. So if you sent it to my old one, I would have gotten it. So there's just been these little moments of gaslighting all throughout the thing. And in the meantime, we have no deposit. We have no set, plan, and time is ticking, and, there's always another holiday she's trying to get through. I'll call you when that's done. So today just came down into a showdown. And what pissed me off was the fact that she was trying to make it sound like I was the one that was changing the bar for her all the time and making it impossible for her to get this job done. And I know I raised my voice at one point, and she said, I'm not going to be screamed at about flowers. And, and I said, okay. I lowered my voice and I said, I understand. I said, clearly we are not going to be working together. That's done. However, I would like to offer you some feedback for going forward, because I said, I will own anything that is mine, but I will not own mishaps and emails written down that you did, and you would confess to it. Once we finally went round and round, she's like, oh, I wrote it down wrong. I'm like, okay, that's not on me. And then secondly, to make it sound like I'm the impossible one because I keep changing. And it's like, I haven't been changing my mind about things. I've been very clear with you from the start. She didn't hear what I said, obviously. And, or made it out to be what it was, that it would, how it fit in her mind about what I was asking for. and then just wouldn't take any constructive feedback, wouldn't own anything. And I was like, you're not going to claim any responsibility for any of this. And she said, no, I mean, she was screaming at me by now. So we get to the end and she, hangs up the phone on me. And so I wrote her a very nice review.
And that was she was so professional and listened so clearly.
Oh yeah, I have to say, because we're talking about white women and we're talking about white saviorism, I wrote the review. Heart was pounding, and then I sat and I looked at it and I was like, "Am I being untoward? Am I, is this a wrong thing to do?" And so I did stop and take a beat and ask myself if I really wanted to do it. And I said, yeah, I really want to do this. Send.
Yeah.
Because I want to let other people know. I was like, and I did it I was like, don't use them if you care about communication, if you care about, I mean, it was very short and sweet, but I'm like, y'all need to get better about knowing what your capacity is. You're only two women. You're only two humans. Women, doesn't matter if it's women or men, only two humans. And if you're going to be taking jobs that you can't do and still be able to communicate with the other people that you're supposed to be servicing going forward, then,
here comes my smile. Welcome to my world. And then the thing is, that
I know first world problems. And yes, I know all of that. I'm completely aware.
And you're allowed to not allowed, but there is some agency that you get to hold and being able to be in communication with her, because at least she's acknowledging you as a colleague. Anything that you say actually can create some cause for caution or concern from other people in the community. But if it was me having that negotiation, it would have just been chopped up to,
oh, hell yeah.
Black woman didn't have enough money to pay for services that, that she said that she wanted. And that type of, the narrative would have been a completely different storytelling. And so dealing with white saviorism or white womaning, or even just sitting in privilege of pretending your capacity is one thing that it's actually not.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I knew this was probably coming. I mean, I've known for the past week, I was giving her grace because she kept saying, get me through. I got to get through the Thanksgiving. I got to get through the Thanksgiving. So I was holding off, but I knew this was probably coming. And like I said, I hear what you're saying about how, yes, she was screaming at me, and yes, voices were raised, and yes, she flamed out and hung up on me in a huff. And then the email that she sent me later on, because she had to do a follow-up, she had to get the last word, was all of this, her list of all the things that I did wrong leading up to the flame out that happened today. And so, I totally get what you're saying about how that experience would have been probably 300% worse had I not presented in the same hue that she presented in. And so now I'm on the hunt for a new florist, and again, first world problems. If I get married without flowers in my hand, that's not the end of the world. But
you want, and you deserve to have flowers at the wedding, and you deserve to be able to work with a professional organization so that you can have your needs met. Is really the thing. So, and it's that simple. It's like, how do we get to a place where we can find the services that we need and people to deal with work professionally, and within their capacity? And this does speak into this idea of white saviorism and lack of accountability with the harm that comes when people are outside of their capacity and believing that they're doing what's best. In the context of white saviorism, for those who might not be familiar with the term, who might be from a different place, we're talking about this idea. Google has given us a description that says a white person believes that they are liberating or saving non-white people. And in this case, with your florist person, is just having opposition with another one of people from the community. But trying to help. This concept is rooted, white saviorism, in colonialism and practices of colonialism, where, one group of people believes that they are more right, just more right than all of the other people around. It sounds like your florist believed that she was more right in the way that she was doing her professionalism. And what harm that brings. So you kind of communicated the harm, one of the frustration, one of the frustration that you experienced, another thing, not being able to get your contract with the flowers from that person and having to now seek another person as time, gets closer to a wedding that is on a very busy day. It's going to cause issues in moving forward. And when we think about that in the context of non-white people being able to address and engage white saviorism, especially when a lot of people don't recognize that it's something that they're doing, and that there's such a great impact. One of the experiences that I've had as of recent, a lovely human being with the purest of hearts, someone that I have the utmost respect for, I'm experiencing white saviorism. I don't think that the person would acknowledge it as that, because most of the time people aren't aware of it. But being in a position to be super resourced and utilizing those resources to really help in a movement that is particularly important. And then when deciding that that is not what they're interested in anymore, and then pulling back without a process of transformation, and the harm, then it just kind of leaves you to try to figure out how it is that you're going to rebuild and or continue on a movement without the resources and no plan for getting the resources. And so white saviorism is really harmful in the way that it can be helpful in its initiation and harmful if there's no consistency in the support and no planning and strategy for helping folks to be sustainable of their own and believing that they can be sustainable of their own. When there starts to be this opportunity where you're providing and supporting with resources, that there, along with that support, is this strategy and process to make sure that people will be able to have the agency and autonomy to sustain on their own. That's white saviorism is one of the most horriblest things. And I'm making up words because I don't have a word beyond horriblest.
Horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. My fiance is very good at making up words, so I'm sure he would come up with something that would fit the bill. But yeah, and I, hi, my name is. I mean, I know I've done that. And I try really hard to be mindful going into anything that could develop into white. I think I've gone through this transition as a white person of doing white saviorism clearly with no awareness of what I was doing. Then started to get an awareness and maybe didn't care. Then started to get an awareness and tried to maybe didn't identify it as saviorism until I was knee deep in it, it's already in it, and there's an awareness that comes midway through. Oh shit, I'm doing it again. And then, so now I feel like I've gotten to a place where I try to check in about that and think to myself, is this white saviorism? And, it's hard because I do have some folks that are also on their journey of awakening, other white identified humans that I can check in and go, hey, white privilege check, is this white saviorism, and trust that they would be able to like see it for what it is and not be stuck in their own blind spots. And but yeah, it's definitely an ongoing thing. And that, you know, what came up for me when I was listening to you also is that phrase that has saved me so many times. I don't know who to attribute it to. Maybe you do know. Maybe you know. Intent does not lessen impact. And maybe there was a longer version of that quote, and I'm whittling it down. But no matter what my intent is,
yes,
it does not lessen the impact, and that impact may be harmful. It may be helpful. My intent. So, for those of you listening, especially if you identify as white and you're like, I wonder what that means. The way I would explain it is like, if somebody comes to me and says, you have caused harm, and is relating to me that I've caused harm, and my first response or my second response or third response is, well, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to hurt. That's where I didn't mean it means intent. So that's where my intent doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I didn't mean to hurt somebody. It doesn't matter that this person that you were working with didn't mean, his intentions were good.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, the end result is still the same. Yeah.
The impact is still real. And it's to be in consideration, because I'm not at all trying to discourage people from supporting and sharing their resources with those that need. But the intention with which you're sharing those resources, if it's rooted in a place where I am sharing my resources with you because I think I know what's best for you, and I think that I should be telling you how to operate and move, and I'm going to show you that without me, you cannot function. Like those type of intentions of giving is how I more qualify white saviorism. I'm going to invite people to be thinking about what it is that you want to share and support with someone, that you really are validating the folks that are in need and understanding where their need comes from, and validates that they understand the best ways to meet their needs. And you're just supporting and helping that and trusting that they know the best ways and processes to keep it going. And then when there is an opportunity to share resources, to be very clear about how long and how much of that resource you're going to be sharing. Because if you then can set up a plan with which you can most effectively use the resources, I think that is really critical. And that would kind of alleviate the harm and the impact of white saviorism. So there's a difference. I don't want people to be like, well, we're just not going to help anybody because I don't want to be accused of white saviorism.
Right. No, that's not the point.
Especially with Giving Tuesday.
Just happening.
If folks have supported folks and shared their resources, then really to trust where you share those resources, that those people are going to know how to effectively use those resources, and then have a conversation with the ways that they've used the resources. If there's something that you don't agree with, have some curiosity about it and offer some insight as to how to improve, because also the people who are in need might need some direction and support about how to expand and most effectively use the resources without telling people what and how to do when they know how to meet their needs. That's really, really important.
I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like, I'm going to do this question kind of backwards. What was just going through my head was, if as a white person, I'm ready to give to somebody, and then I want to know how they're going to use the money, and I want to critique how they're going to organize it, and I want to do all of these things. You were just talking about coming with curiosity. And one of my instincts was that should be a check for me, that my head is not in the right place, that I'm maybe coming to it with a white saviorism mindset. If I feel like it's justified, because I wrote the check, it's justified for me to, interrogate how the money is used. I don't know if I'm being clear, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Is that a gut check of white saviorism, or because you were just talking about curiosity of how it's spent, and I know we're allowed to ask that, but I don't know. I'll let you go.
So I can offer the answer that as a non-white person, I don't know how to gut check white saviorism because I haven't done it. But I don't know how to gut check that. However, I can say when I heard the language of critiquing, and when I heard the language of wanting to have an explanation, that to me would be places that you're not giving with the right intention and with the right belief that you're giving to something that's sustainable. So it just doesn't that doesn't match. And so I would offer that would not be the place. And that doesn't mean that the people don't need the resources, but just kind of check in with what is the best trust-based philanthropy that you can do with those people that you want to support and share. One thing to be asking about how the plan is going to be executed, and doing it at a time that's opportune for the people that are in need. Don't do it to them where they're trying to figure out how to have the needs met, because then that just creates another barrier and obstacle where it's just like, I don't have time to be dealing with you because this is something that's really necessary to be taken care of right now, and could create more burdens for those that are in need. So being in that type of consideration, and also your relationships with people that you trust. There's always going to be someone who knows someone that has a need, so that you can kind of get past this kind of scrutiny of where your resources are going to be given and how they're going to be used.
Yeah.
Is what I would offer, to try to just remove white saviorism in and of itself, and remove this belief that you know better than the people who have needs.
Right.
Because you just don't. Just like I couldn't tell you how to gut check white saviorism because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I was asking because I was just curious to let any listeners know that might identify as white, because it's helpful for me in my own journey to like identify these little
nuggets. I understand
things that you feel in your gut, and how to, when I feel that, it's something that I need to spend some time investigating. And so, yeah, but I totally get how that's not a thing that you can check, because
I can't check it, but I can offer, just as a human being, if there's something that I'm thinking about doing and I'm weary of it in some way, I am going to reflect with myself, what is the weariness,
right?
And where is that rooted from? Like, where is that coming from? And what's the validation for it? And if I find that it is something that is demonstrative enough that I don't want to participate, then I won't, or I'll invite a conversation to have more clarity and understanding, because our own beliefs can be skewed in and of ourselves. And so it's important to dig a little deeper and develop relationships. It's really based on how you have relationships with people and thinking about how you want to support and trust them. And then also being able to, as a person that is providing resources, to take your own feedback in a healthy way. Right.
Yeah.
So even with your conversation with the florist, if you can't communicate and have healthy exchanges of feedback on like what's needed to improve relationships amongst people, that's also going to not be a place where resources are actually going to effectively be used, just because it hasn't come from a place of like healthy relationships to move forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought about it afterwards, and I was thinking, especially when it came to doing the review, am I just buying in? Because capitalism and dismantling capitalism is kind of big in my head right now. And so I was thinking about perfectionism, and was I expecting perfectionism? And, these are the questions that I ask myself when I go through something like this, something like, I know that some out there would go, "Ooh, why don't white crime?"
For flowers at a wedding.
Not a horrible thing, not a horrible thing, but just thinking about how I come to that situation. I don't have any control over her. I don't have any control over they are a business. They're publicly, displayed, and I've had a bad feeling in my gut for a minute now that this was not going to go, but I was trying to give a small local business, I didn't need a lot of flowers. So I thought this will be perfect for a local business. And
your intention was right.
It was. It was. So and now I may have harmed myself for not having any flowers on my wedding, but
you will have flowers.
I will. If I just go to the Stop and Shop and buy a little, bouquet and hold that, it's not the end of the world. So that's one of the benefits of getting married in an art gallery. The art is the flowers. So, yeah, but.
And being around people who like really support and love you and want you to.
I'm so excited to see you and have all of these different amazing humans that are in Brian and Mai's life come together in the same space and get to meet each other. And, everybody's heard stories about each other. Everybody's excited to meet you. Everybody. They're all like, when I told them Jay was coming, they're like, they don't care if I'm there. They just want to see you.
We build the families that we want to have, so that's one of the beautiful things about this holiday.
You're one of my cool friends, so they're very excited to meet you in person.
Excited for that too.
Well, do you have any? I was looking at, because I'm always looking for books, with super important topics like this that I need to do a deeper dive in. And I did a little bit of a search, and I came up with something, but it's kind of a very academic. We can talk about that in a second, but I was curious if you had any books or any things that come to mind for you.
I just looked away so that you could use my beautiful eyes to be able to see. And I say that because they're just getting more mature and can't see anything. But my mother sent me a book called Do the Work. Anti-racist activity book. And it has like all these wonderful activities that whoever you are, non-white, however you identify, work that allows you to be reflective on where you're coming from with some of the root narratives that you hold that would have your engagement be a little bit more difficult with other people. So I would offer that as a really great book.
Okay, I'm pulling up the picture of it right now so that we can put it on the screen and share it with folks. I had not heard about this one, so I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it has wonderful activities, and it's always fun to bring in the element of like youthfulness and play. Some of the things that we did to help us generate.
So it's a workbook, so it's got activities in it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm bringing up the image right now. There it is, an anti-racist. That's the one, right?
That is it. That is.
Oh, W. Kamau Bell. I love him.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I learned so much from him on his show, The United Shades of America. I've learned so much from him. So W. Kamau Bell and Kate Schatz are the authors. So,
so do the work of like trying to make sure that you do not participate in white saviorism. Talk to the folks that you know who done a little bit better in being able to support and resource folks. Yeah. And see what it is.
All right. So I just put the QR code up for those of you who are watching. There's a QR code up in the upper left corner.
So crafty in the production.
I know. So you can scan that QR code and go straight to. I like to buy my books from Bookshop, but definitely use your library card. That's always an option. But I like to try to get my books from Bookshop because you can designate a local bookstore that will get proceeds every time you buy a book from them. So bookshop.org is the website that QR code goes to. But of course, you can get it anywhere where books are sold.
And what was the book that you were going to share? You were going to share something.
I was going to share this book. This is called White Saviorism and International Development in International Development. And I'll put the QR code up for that. And full disclosure, I've not read it. But when I was doing my searches and looking at the synopsis of it, this sounds like this is a more academic approach. And it also is talking about how it impacts international development. So I think it focuses on how white saviorism, from the synopsis that I read, it focuses on how white saviorism impacts the countries of the global South, which would be countries that typically are not predominantly white. I'm trying to get away from saying Middle East because I'm finding out that that's a colonial term.
Well, South America now, because we know what's happening in the Caribbean waters.
Yep.
White saviorism coming in.
South America, Caribbean. Yes.
All of business that. Properly.
Yep. So it sounds like this is more of an kind of an academic book written in terms of, so I don't know about what kind of read it is in terms of some of the academic books can be really hard to get through, but it sounded really fascinating. And I love the fact that these editors and authors have done, have collated this information about how, because I've been thinking a lot about the global picture. And
it's really nice to have a global systems approach to trying to like dismantle white saviorism and recognize what the impacts are so that we don't participate in any type of way.
Right. So those were the two that I came up with. And of course, Ijeomo Olou's so you want to talk about race is always a good. I was looking at my bookshelf because it's back there on the bookshelf.
It's around.
I know. I'm like, why am I looking behind me? And that's a great book because white saviorism is one of the tools in the toolkit, if you will, of whiteness. And so it really helps to do kind of a broad brush on one's whiteness and how one's whiteness shows up in our interactions with others, and white saviorism is definitely a proponent of that. So I think this was a great topic for us to kind of bring to the table at this time of year, because I think even the platform thinks it was good. Thumbs up. Because, this is the time of year where I think our white saviorism gene can really run amok. And again,
it's a hard thing to try to decentralize whiteness. I'm sorry. It's a hard thing to try to decentralize whiteness, especially in the U.S. at this moment when it's centralizing whiteness at this time. And we know that the holidays, you're going to see all of these wonderful holiday movies that reach our hearts and everything like that. But it's, of white families and white communities and this idea of the white nuclear family that the U.S. is trying to promote once again in a way that's harmful to a number of U.S. citizens. And so just being in consideration of that as we move forward into our new year and can start to be thinking about how we can be a more diverse community of people together.
Well, once again, fantastic conversation with you, and we will see you next time.
All right,
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, as you move throughout your day, continue to ask yourself,
Why Do I Give a Fuck is produced in collaboration with Johanna and Diane. Music by Norwegian musician Water. See you next time.